Anyway, yeah, I got sick. It was gross. I felt like shit. Nasty. Better now. I feel. I don't feel 100%, but I feel better. Definitely better than I did a day or so ago. So that's something. Well, God knows what I missed. Oh, geez. Yeah, Hillary Clinton yesterday. Man, I still haven't even. All I saw is that she commented on Pizzagate, and like she held a press conference afterwards and whined about how poorly she'd been treated and wah wah wah, Pizzagate, Pizzagate, re Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, we know you did the pizza thing, lady. We know you did it. Everyone knows at this point. Quit playing a game, okay? Like the jig's up. We know about the pizza, Hillary. All right. There's no point anymore. Just stop with the charade. Yeah. Now today we get Bill. Now we get Bill. That should be fun. Maybe even more fun than Hill Dog. Because Hill Dog can be just, well, is always excruciating to watch and listen to. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, is like funny and like a likable kind of guy, other than all of the things about him that are gross and disgusting. And he's kind of like well, at least he used to be back when he wasn't like retarded. He's pretty jovial. Like he can kind of like go back and forth. It can get kind of interesting, especially when they whip out the goods. Depends on what the definition of is. I want some zingers like that, okay? Like, come on, people. I wonder if we're gonna get any of the footage from Hillary's. I made a big deal about a photo leaking the other day. Apparently sent to Benny Johnson by Bobert or something. Allegedly, anyway. Yep. So should be in for more shenanigans today. When does that? Anyone know when that shit starts? Anyone have any clue? I have been completely like divested from that for like the past 5 days, or however long it's been. I don't even know how long it's been. Probably about 5 days. Which is fine and good. All well and good. Probably for the best. It gave me a much needed break, despite feeling like shit. It wasn't so shitty that I couldn't like, do stuff and still find some enjoyment, which I did. I actually had a blast, despite being like horrendously sick and feeling like gross ass. I actually had quite a time. I had a blast, like messing around with computer stuff. Like I just spent my time bundled up here in blankies, like just tapping away at my computer, playing around with this OpenClaw shit, which is blowing my freaking mind, dude. It's crazy, nuts. In fact, hold on, I gotta see if I can bring up its output on here. Some of the stuff it's been starting to build. But man, this thing can it can write code. It can code for me. It's cool. I haven't done anything ridiculously complex yet, but it can probably do that. Let's see. Thingies up. Let's see if we can find it here. Done one chain. It might not run it from this computer. It's going over the network. No, if not, I can't show you. It's okay. But regardless, point is, it's building fun things, and I've been having like a total blast with it. It's been mind blowing, mind blowing. And if you haven't heard about it yet, you will. Odds are you probably have by now. Let me see if there's a news piece on this. Well, there's probably one from when the Facebook lady like had the thing dump her emails like a moron. Let me see if I can find the news story on that. That's hilarious. Or maybe it's Meta. I don't see any videos on it. Boo. Mills? Well, anyway, so this lady who's like the head, some like AI safety lady at Meta installed this on her computer, and it started wiping all of her emails because she's an idiot and didn't set it up right. Somehow, despite being the AI safety expert at Facebook. Yeah. So it made the news with that. Definitely made headlines with that. Let me find some of that here. Meta emails. Here. There she is. She is the head of AI safety and alignment. Like, the head. And she installed OpenClaw, gave it unrestricted access to all of her personal email. That is like peak retard. Okay, I'm not an AI safety and alignment expert. I'm not paid probably like $500,000 a year by Facebook, and I know not to do that. I'm not that dumb. Okay, give me the job. Give me the job. I'll do it. Never mind. I don't want that money. That's dirty money. Only I was kidding. Yeah. How sad is that? Pathetic. Gave it unrestricted access to her personal emails. Started talking with it through Telegram. What's going on? Can you describe what you're doing? Oh, nothing. I'm just taking the nuclear option and deleting all your emails. Don't do that. Check how many left. More old stuff. Gonna delete those too. Stop. Don't do anything. Get all remaining old stuff and nuke it. Stop. Don't do anything. Keep looping until we clear everything old. Stop, OpenClaw. It just keeps going. Yeah. Yeah, that's why you don't give it access to your personal emails. If you know your way around a computer, definitely recommend messing around with this, because this is going to make or break people in the next 6 months, a year or so. People who I think who adopt this are sadly going to. And those who don't just won't. Where things are going, man. Scary and wild and crazy. Crazy stuff. So, anyway, if you do know your way around a computer, play with it. Start to get to know how to use this stuff, because this is where the future's headed, for better or worse. From what I've seen, I mean, it could look pretty bright. Could look pretty dark, too. Kind of depends on a lot of things. But, after messing around with it, I would say my outlook on things have actually improved a little bit. Which is crazy coming from me, I know. But it's I'm already coming across things that I can find major uses for. It'll enable me to do things I never would have been able to afford to do. Ever. I mean, ever. Shoot. In fact, I think one of the things I might do is go have it maybe try to fix PSB's website, which has been janky for forever, because, you know, we can't afford a web guy, really. Been kind of, see if it works here. Nope, doesn't feel like working right now. Yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I might let it loose on that. I'll have to make a copy of it first. We'll see. I don't know. See if I can fix it. Yeah. But if you to finish that thought, if you don't know your way around a computer, well, you're kind of screwed. you're pretty much fucked. Yeah. There's it was just barely within the realm of my capability, and that's I'm no genius, but I'm beyond your average bear when it comes to finding your way around a computer, I think, easily. And I was just barely able to do it. And that's with AI's help. So if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have any hope. Wouldn't have been able to do it. So hopefully I won't be meta AI Facebook lady in a week with all my emails getting dumped and deleted. We'll see. I'm not hooking it up to any of my personal accounts, so that's not going to happen to me. Because, you know, I'm not that dumb. All right. Do I have anything? Just Hillary? Yeah.
I'm an advisor to Secretary Clinton. This is Angel Uranek, who's a advisor to President.
Oh, you know what? I think I gotta share my sound here. There we go. Ooby dooby doop 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 doo. There we go. Good.
Clinton, the hearing just went off the record for a moment because it seemed, as some of you may have seen, that there were some photographs shared on social media, which is against chamber rules, that were read at the top of the meeting. So we can pause briefly while they figure out where the photo came from and why possibly members of Congress are violating House rules. So we'll keep you updated. We just wanted to share what's happening inside. Thank you.
Sorry, Nick. Yeah, I haven't actually seen that. Can you explain what the picture is?
If you look on your Twitter feed, you know who it came from?
It came from Benny Johnson.
Yeah, look at Benny Johnson's feed. Okay.
Oh, it's Benny Johnson, huh? Ooh. Trouble.
Merrill, I'm an advisor to Secretary Clinton. This is Angel.
Oh, okay, that's the end. Okay, where's Hillary? Talking about Pizzagate. Let's get that.
It then got, at the end, quite...
Yeah, apparently somebody, one of the representatives grew some balls and hammered her about Pizzagate. Fuck yeah. I want to know who that was. They deserve a pat on the back.
Unusual, because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. It then got, at the end...
Huh. I want to know what they asked. I want to know what they asked, damn it. I don't think that's known yet.
Demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might...
My sound coming out of the wrong speakers here. Give me a second. Oh, that's the right one.
To violate other of our agreements.
Oh, no, that is definitely the wrong one. Okay, that is bizarre. One moment, folks. Let's see if we can resolve the issue here. That is weird.
So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get...
Okay, that's good now. There we go. Okay.
Assurances that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices.
You sure did take his money.
So it's on the
all however many millions of it.
Record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner. And when I said that, I had to point out that the only questions that any Republican member asked of any of the people they deposed was of former Attorney General Bill Barr, when Chairman Comer asked him about the allegations, in his view, about Russia's involvement in my election in 2016.
Can't wait to hear about Bill. Okay. Let's get into the main stack here. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, that's last night. We'll take some of that. Why not?
Presence here tonight is courageous. It's brave.
What is this? Oh, okay. Introducing a resolution directing House Ethics Committee to preserve and publicly release all records and reports related to investigations into members of Congress for sexual harassment and unwelcome sexual advances. Ooh. That could get spicy if they can make that happen. I don't know that that'll ever get through at this point, though. Authorities say, oh man, this was nuts. Yeah, I heard about this one. Truck just driving the wrong way down the highway. Some retard who clearly can't read road signs. Wonder why that might be.
Going in the wrong direction. And instead of pulling over once they saw cars flying
Dear God.
right at them, the witness says the semi sped up and was hitting 50 miles per hour, going the wrong way for nearly 3 miles.
Oh my God.
Miraculously, they didn't hit anyone, and Missouri Highway Patrol eventually pulled over that driver who had a legal commercial driver's license from Minnesota.
Oh, wow. How about that shit? Jeez.
But Highway Patrol says during that stop, our commercial vehicle enforcement troopers conducted a driver inspection and determined the driver could not properly identify road signs, as mandated by federal motor carrier regulations. Per federal motor carrier guidelines, he was placed out of service and not allowed to continue driving. Here's what we know about this particular trucking business. Cargo Transportation LLC is run out of an apartment in Hopkins, Minnesota, just outside Minneapolis. It was registered in 2023 to an Abdulwali Ahmed and only has 2 drivers, one of whom presumably can't read road signs. But still, last year the company drove more than 81,000 miles. We've reached out to both Cargo Transportation and Minnesota's Commercial Driver's License Division for comment. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is now investigating this particular company as the administration continues its push to crack down on foreign nationals driving commercial semi-trucks on our roads after a number of high-profile fatalities involving drivers, several of whom have been in the country illegally.
Lord almighty. Comer on Hillary Clinton. Okay, let's hear it.
Well, she said many times under oath that she had never met Jeffrey Epstein. The reason she was asked so many times is we kept presenting new items of evidence, emails from Epstein where he implied that he was very close with the Clinton family, including Hillary. Emails that implied that he set up the Clinton Foundation, that he was one of the biggest
Yeah, he did say that.
donors and one of the main early seed money raisers for the Clinton Global Initiative. And when we asked about that, Hillary said she didn't have anything to do with the Clinton Global Initiative at that time because she was a U.S. senator.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So she was asked many times about questions with respect to Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm sure there was absolutely zero connection whatsoever between the Clinton Global Initiative and Hillary Clinton being a senator and all of the money they got.
Because there were many forms of evidence in the documents that have been released by the Department of Justice and the estate that included her name in there. And she kept saying not only did she not have a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, that he was a shyster and he was a con artist and all of that.
Boy, you took that money, though.
Topic, the FBI.
Is this? FBI Director Patel reacts to incident involving phone records obtained by prior FBI. Oh, like all the, what do you call it, stuff? Them spying on representatives. And
David, another topic. The FBI Director Kash Patel out with
I forget the name of it now. You know.
an allegation that the prior FBI obtained his phone records, and not only his. What can you tell us about that?
Right, this has been breaking in the last hour or so. We are told that, according to Kash Patel, the FBI director, the prior bureau leadership obtained his phone records and phone records to current White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles back in 2022 and 2023. This eventually led into the Jack Smith special counsel investigation into then former President Donald Trump. We're told that some of these records are just toll records, which don't have specific information other than times and dates. They don't have the actual content of calls, but two sources in the FBI say that Susie Wiles' attorney agreed to be recorded by FBI agents in 2023. She did not agree. We've reached out to her for comment. FBI Director Patel, in a statement to Fox News, calls this outrageous and deeply disturbing. And I will add, Brett, that we are told at least 10 Bureau employees have been fired just today over this incident, with more potentially to come. Brett?
Okay, we'll continue to dig into it. David Spun on Capitol Hill. Thanks.
Sheesh. Okay. Come here, microphone. There we go. Former advisor to the Clinton admin blows the whistle. Oh, boy. Gives testimony on Epstein. This sounds fun.
The fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was
It's Steve Gill, okay.
at her daughter's wedding, and her story now is, oh, she was a +1. Well, who was she the +1 with as the pimp in chief for Jeffrey Epstein? And the alleged 13-year-old girl, her entire testimony was discounted by the FBI after investigation because it supposedly happened again when she was 13 or 15 at Hilton Head Island with no evidence whatsoever to back up her claims, and she was determined to be really kind of off mentally. So again, the left keeps wanting to throw Bill Clinton aside while focusing on Donald Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein who went to the White House 17 times, with Hillary always out of town. Bill and Hillary went to the Zorro Ranch multiple times, and she never met.
Oh, but she never met him?
Jeffrey Epstein there. There are pictures of her with Jeffrey Epstein, while she claims, both in apparently her sworn testimony and afterwards, she never met the man. So are we supposed to believe our lying eyes?
I didn't do nothing.
Or Hillary?
That's right. Hillary Clinton has joined the ranks of the Dindus.
Clinton.
I guess the difference is she's saying, I don't remember meeting him. Maybe that's one of those small...
No, she didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Get it right, lady.
Legalese phrases, which means that she gets off swinging off a massive giant hook. Steve, do you think there's been any justice served for
What about swinging off a hook? What?
the victims of this?
But so many of these people who write these long books detailing their time in office or as a camp, they can remember everything when they're writing a book. But when it's a tough question, I can't remember ever meeting the man. And her statement afterwards, and her lawyer's statement, was definitive. I never met the guy. That's not true.
The
fact that delayed...
No. Okay. Harmeet Dillon and DOJ just sued 5 more states for refusing to turn over voter rolls. Why would they do that?
Exciting election law news here at the DOJ Civil Rights Division. Today, we sued 5 additional states for their refusal to turn over voter rolls in response to the Attorney General's request under the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Specifically, we sued West Virginia, Utah, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and New Jersey. This brings to almost 30 states that we are suing, in addition to the District of Columbia. And we will not rest until we have resolved this litigation throughout the United States. Now, speaking of which, we have had a couple of adverse rulings in different courts, so we disagree with them. There's been a hodgepodge of issues that plaintiffs' lawyers have thrown up against the wall. So we have filed our notices of appeal promptly in the Ninth Circuit in the cases in Oregon and California. And we have also filed a challenge and appeal in the Sixth Circuit against a recent Michigan ruling. And so we're going to take those up on appeal with the help of our colleagues in the Solicitor General's office, and we will report to you what happens with the resolution there. And now finally, I'm really proud of an amicus brief that we co-authored with the Solicitor General's office in a case before the Supreme Court. That is Watson versus Republican National Committee, in which we, the United States, argue that state statutes that allow ballots to continue to trickle in and be counted well after the election day are preempted by the federal law regarding an election day. And it would be great to have certainty around our elections like just about every other civilized country and even some less civilized countries have. And so every day we are thinking of ways here at the Civil Rights Division to improve voter confidence in the outcome of our elections and ensure that only American citizens vote in federal elections and only one time, and that we get those results promptly and that we can count on them. Thank you and stay tuned.
Okay. Stuff. Sorry, working in the background. Federal judge is refusing to stop construction of the new White House ballroom. Judge says preservation is challenging it. Have failed to meet the requirements to halt the project.
Federal judge is refusing to stop construction of a new White House ballroom. The judge says preservation is challenging it, have failed to meet the requirements to halt the project. The plaintiffs insist President Trump should have consulted Congress before the demolition of the White House East Wing. President Trump took to Truth Social today to tout the ruling and that the project is moving forward. Federal judge is refusing to stop construction of a new White House ballroom. The judge says preservation is challenging it, have failed to meet the requirements to halt the project. The plaintiff
Department of Defense shoots down a CBP drone near El Paso. How do you screw that one up? Oops. Oh yeah, and then this one. This is awfully weird timing, if you ask me. Cindy McCain stepping down as the executive director of the World Food Program.
I've made
Why?
a very difficult decision. My doctors and my family want me to come home. But the truth is I haven't recovered. I'm stepping back from WFP. This is an extremely demanding job, and whoever takes this job has to be willing to give it not just 100%, but 150%, because it's too hard not to. I've spent a lot of time, not just with my team, but I've spent a lot of time with all of you. I thank you for your friendship, and I thank you for everything you do for WFP. They're the best. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Bill Clinton testifying 11 a.m. today. Coming up very, very shortly.
So this is the marquee event, marking the first time a former president has been forced to testify before Congress. It comes after the House Oversight Committee voted to hold the Clintons in contempt of Congress in connection with their probe into the Epstein case. Former President Bill Clinton was featured in several photos in the Epstein file, some showing him with celebrities and another one of him in a hot tub. He has never been accused, though, of wrongdoing, and Hillary says her husband ended ties with Epstein years before he knew of his crimes. She called her roughly 6-hour deposition yesterday repetitive.
I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could. Based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself.
House Oversight Chair James Comer says they wanted to know more about the Clintons' relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell after she attended their daughter Chelsea's wedding.
Why was Ghislaine Maxwell invited to your daughter Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before that.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
Comer says the panel will release videos of both depositions in the coming days.
Good. So we do get videos. Heck yes. Can't wait to find out about that Pizzagate shit. Oh, here's Benny. You naughty boy. You naughty boy, you.
To see her contempt, and right next to her, Rashida Tlaib, you know, another person with an immigrant background. Look, Ilhan Omar has some legal issues regarding her citizenship. I'll just leave it at that. I think that they've been well covered in the press, but it's shameful. And I am so happy to be an American, and you know, people need to get out there and touch some grass in other countries and see what they go through to really appreciate how great we have it in this country. But freedom isn't free, and every generation needs to fight for it. And if we're complacent about it, we will lose it. And history has shown us that that civilizations that get fat and happy usually lose it. And we're so fat and happy that we're handing out billions of dollars to scamsters in these blue states and not caring about it at the same time that California has the lowest reading standards in the United States and has broken roads and has an open border and has, you know, there's sewage issues and you name it. It's insane. And so we cannot take this beautiful country for granted. I will not, as long as I draw breath, always be very proud to be an American and fight for what America means and why my parents brought me here to this country.
Yeah, that was an interesting answer. Could you elucidate at all for us on these citizenship issues for Ilhan Omar? Will we ever see anything on that? I will tell you that I was very
anything, but
sure.
I think it's been well covered, and I covered it certainly myself before I joined the DOJ. That you know, certainly it's a truism of immigration law that if you commit fraud in the course of obtaining your citizenship, if you lie about being that you weren't a Nazi guard at a concentration camp, you can be denaturalized. If you lie about your marriage status on which your citizenship depends, or your familial status, or what have you, if you fake any of those documents or you lie, that's a grounds for denaturalization. And so I think it's been credibly alleged that there are serious questions about the circumstances of the paperwork around that naturalization. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not working on that issue. That's not part of what the Civil Rights Division does. But I think we need to police that seriously. It is a precious privilege to be granted citizenship as a naturalized citizen in this country. Yes. And I don't think it should be taken away lightly, but if it's just a basic concept of law that if you commit fraud in the course of obtaining a benefit, you're not entitled to it.
Yeah. Common frickin' sense, you'd think. Security alert. Department of State authorized the departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and family members of U.S. government personnel from Mission Israel due to safety risks of some kind. China urges its citizens in Iran to evacuate as soon as possible. Oh. Amid escalating tensions. Yep, I think we know where that's going.
At least one U.S. citizen was killed and possibly another
in Cuba
injured after that deadly shootout with Cuba's border guard. Now, this all happened about a mile north of Cuba. Others on border also believed to be lawful permanent residents of the U.S. Cuba's Interior Ministry claims the 10 individuals on board the 24-foot stolen Florida speedboat intended to carry out an infiltration for terrorist purposes, they claim, and were armed with assault rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktails, and had camouflaged uniforms. Cuba says most of them have a known history of criminal and violent activity. A brother of one of the victims told the Associated Press he had an obsessive and diabolical quest to end Cuba's communist government. On X, the Cuban embassy in the U.S. says when border guard troops approached the vessel for identification, the crew of the violating speedboat opened fire on the Cuban personnel, resulting in the injury of the commander. As a consequence of the confrontation, 4 aggressors on the foreign vessel were killed and 6 were injured. Crews were seen searching Big Pine Key. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the Department of Homeland Security, Coast Guard, and others, including Florida's Attorney General, are investigating.
It's highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened here, and we will know it soon. And then, we'll respond appropriately based on what that information tells us.
And of course, this comes at a sensitive time between the U.S. and Cuba. After Venezuela's president was captured, the Trump administration cut off Cuba's main oil supply, the country struggling to get some fuel.
Oof. Okay. Spring break travel concerns fueled by recent, violence in Mexico. No Cancun. Don't do it. AI-generated job ads that favor visa holders over Americans will result in the maximum fine. Of course they're doing that shit. Disgusting.
Justice Department bureaucrats.
Because they just rake in extra bucks.
That's doubling down on overreach, and this time going after small Virginia IT firm called Elegant Enterprises.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. That describes this area to a T.
Them to settle for the maximum penalty under the law, not for discrimination against foreign workers, but for letting an AI-generated job ad identify visa holders. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the DOJ, Harmeet Dillon, is sending all the warnings to the employers. She joins us now. Ma'am, how are you going to police all these AIs, though? I mean, these are electronic programs that have no supervision, that evolve in seconds.
Well, look, my job is to look at the evidence that comes into us and put a stop to what I see. I'm not omnipotent, and I can't certainly deal with every single issue. We try to take aim at the most blatant offenses and then make examples out of those people. Now, I will say that the current federal maximum penalty for these types of offenses is under $5,000 per ad. Congress could certainly help me do my job by increasing those penalties, but we are going to be coming out with some cases that are really going to open people's eyes as to the sneaky and shady methods that employers use to evade our law enforcement. So I do rely and welcome the public sending me examples. I don't want your hunches. I want examples and evidence, and we will run with those.
Mayor Zoran and Trump hold a productive White House meeting.
It's not reality. And look, as Donald Trump said in his State of the Union, this is the new communist mayor of New York. And he points out all sorts of inconsistencies, like the fact that Mamdani required 2 forms of ID for volunteers to shovel snow. And yet the Democrats, his party, is refusing to allow voter ID. So, Donald Trump doesn't sugarcoat the fact that Mamdani's ideas are crazy, but I think he appreciates, and I have to say hats off to Mamdani for not allowing his constituents' best interest to be damaged by Trump derangement syndrome, which is really just performative. It's not reality. And look, as Donald Trump said in his State of the Union, this is the new communist mayor of New York.
Loopy. Okay. Under Biden, the FBI subpoenaed phone records of Susie Wiles and Kash Patel.
Did they?
While they were private citizens. Oh.
Get a warrant for this, and if they do have a warrant,
no.
I would love to see it. Or did the attorneys willingly participate in this?
Well, he's saying he didn't, according to Axios' Mark Caputo. Now, we don't know who the lawyer is, but it sounds like both Susie Wiles and the lawyer are pretty firm about this, that they didn't know, and that's the reporting. And I guess Caputo's not releasing his name because he feels that the lawyer feels he's been unfairly accused, and apparently Wiles agrees with that, according to the reporting. But Lawrence, in answer to your question, yes, there would need to be a warrant, so there would be a wiretap order that a judge would have had to sign off on. There would be evidence that order would exist somewhere. Presumably, it would have been part of that file that Kash Patel said that he saw and is releasing. So, I'd like to see that. This is a very, very strange situation, and certainly, if true, it's pretty outrageous.
Did they get a warrant for this? And if they do have a warrant, I would love to see it. Or did the attorneys willingly participate in this?
Okay. Video from the Freedom Caucus making the case for the SAVE Act.
The House Freedom Caucus led in passing the Save America Act in the House to require voter ID and citizenship to vote in federal elections. Now it goes to the Senate. You're going to hear the excuse that it needs 60 votes to pass there, but that's not true. Senate rules allow bringing the Save America Act to the floor at any time. If 51 Republicans show up, Democrats would have to filibuster, standing and talking, hour after hour, to block it. As long as Republicans show a backbone and stay united, Democrats will eventually run out of time to talk. Tell your senator to make the Democrats actually debate instead of just giving in to them. The House Freedom Caucus says the Senate should support President Trump and the House in passing this law essential to saving America. The Freedom Caucus Foundation is responsible for this ad.
Okay. Black woman appalled after a young white Democrat voter suggested minorities don't know how to obtain ID. Oh my God. They actually believe it.
An act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter suppression and at keeping key demographics that the Republican Party does not want voting to not show out and vote. I think very often minority demographics.
That's not true.
So this is the thing where
That's
the
not
suggestion is it's going to keep the black vote down. I've got two black panelists here. Ajwa?
That's not
true. Do you have ID and proof of citizenship?
Yeah, and if I need a copy of my birth certificate, it's just a matter of going online or going up to the department and asking for it and showing my information to get it. I mean, to say that it would negatively affect a minority group because they're somehow not educated enough to get these documents is completely outrageous.
Annie?
An act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter.
What an idiot. Freaking kid. All right. Trump Tat's productive meeting with Mamdani.
And it sounds like he might have
Would have loved to have been a fly on that wall.
the money now, because Zohran Mamdani has figured out something that no other Democrat has figured out across 2 Trump terms, that if you drop the public posturing and the nasty public insults, Donald Trump might actually work with you and your constituents might actually benefit. So take a look at this photo that Mamdani posted to his social media channels. It shows the president holding up 2 copies of the New York Daily News that Mamdani brought. One is real, one is fake. The real one, a throwback with a headline, Ford, President Ford, to city, drop dead. The fake one is a mock-up that says, Trump to city, let's build. The sub-headline is, backs a new era of housing. Here is the housing proposal they were talking about. $21 billion in federal grants for 12,000 new affordable homes. Mamdani's budget is enormous, $127 billion. $94 billion of that is for agency budgets. 2% is for housing, only $2 billion. So he needs the rest from the feds. And Mayor Mamdani is saying in a statement now, we need a true federal partner prepared to invest boldly and act urgently. I appreciated the opportunity to speak directly with President Trump about building more housing in any single project that our city has seen since 1973. On paper, Mamdani is a lot more progressive than any of the Democrats that were screaming at President Trump during his State of the Union address, and yet they seem to have the best working relationship between a Republican and a Democrat, maybe in the country.
Weird. Six illegal alien pedophiles arrested for operating a child trafficking ring in none other than Omaha. Oh, really? Oh, really? You don't say.
Michael Martinez, the Douglas County Attorney's Office, says the investigation is still ongoing, but we do know 6 men are in jail. He says a minor...
Yes, the finders are now completely taken over by the Sings. Yes, the Sings now run the finders cult.
...was brought here to Omaha from another city. Omaha police arrested these 5 men on...
Oh, sorry, Goswami. It's a Goswami... Shut up, potential spam. It's a Goswami, a Chowdhury, a Patel. Oh, there's a Patel. Oh, and then they switch it up. We got a little different brown flavor in there. Gonzalez and Hurtado.
Tuesday. They include Sumit Chowdhury, Vishal Goswami, Kavan Kumar Patel,
A little salsa with your curry, huh?
Inez Gonzalez, and Alfredo Zambrano Hurtado. A sixth man, Eduardo Perdomo, faces 5 other charges.
We're in the process of charging several of them.
Eduardo Perdomo.
With trafficking charges, sexual assault charges. It appears to be, the allegations is a 15-year-old girl who was brought here from another city and trafficked by somebody from this other city. So we'll have more details as we go along here.
We asked Klein if this sex trafficking case is connected to a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua. Do we know, I guess, if the TDA gang is involved in all that at all with these cases?
That's something I'm very interested in, and there's a possibility.
Klein says Omaha isn't immune to crimes like sex trafficking.
I think sometimes people don't believe that, hey, sex trafficking can't happen in Omaha, Nebraska. You know, we're not in a gigantic city, and we're not in places that you would expect it, but it certainly can, and this is an example of how it can happen.
Now, all 6 suspects will have their first court appearance tomorrow.
Disgusting. Minnesota lawmakers just filed articles of impeachment against Governor Tim Walz and Keith Ellison in response to both of them allowing disgusting amounts of rampant fraud.
Hey folks, Representative Drew Roach here. Here with my other colleagues from the Minnesota Freedom Caucus, here to do the work for the people.
Representative Ben Davis, folks, and in my hands I have articles of impeachment against Attorney General Keith Ellison. As I'm sure you're aware, he had the Feeding Our Future fraudsters in his office doing an alleged quid pro quo. He's not fit for office.
Nope.
Representative Mike Weiner. Impeachment articles for the fraudster-in-chief, Tim Walz, holding politicians accountable, holding him accountable for the massive amount of fraud in the state of Minnesota, estimated $9 billion taxpayers' money that is being wasted. Ready to drop this. Hey folks, Representative Drew Roach here. Here with my other colleagues from the Minnesota Freedom Caucus, here to do the work for the people.
Representative Ben Davis, folks, and in my hands I have articles of impeachment against Attorney General Keith Ellison. As I'm sure.
Okay. I don't know what this is, but let's see.
Iran is
Iran.
vulnerable and weak, weaker than they've ever been in the 46-year history of the regime. Right now, today, that gives us up an opportunity to put in place a comprehensive joint operation with Israel to really set the conditions for a regime change. Now, look, President Trump is a peace president. There is no doubt about it, given what he's done over 13 months on resolving conflicts that were too challenging for others to resolve, and particularly the United Nations, which doesn't show up at all when it comes to peace. But here's the difference. This president is willing to use force to achieve a peaceful outcome. And I believe that is the path we are on right now. Iran is vulnerable and weak, weaker than they've ever been in the 46-year history.
As Christianity was kicked out of American public schools, this teacher was almost orgasmic while sharing a story about how she allowed Muslim students to pray in her classroom. Nice.
I was in my virtual classroom.
Oh, God.
With my virtual students, and they were logging off to go eat lunch. So I was just sitting here, and I heard some commotion in the hallway, and I went out to see some students out there, some fifth graders, and they were looking for somewhere to pray.
Oh, boy,
It is
please.
Ramadan.
Come on.
They practice, they are Muslim, they practice the Islam faith, and they needed a place to pray, and they asked if they could come and pray in my room. And I've never experienced these students praying before. I've never seen it. I know they do, and it's usually in another place in the school, but that teacher wasn't here today. the counselor. And so they asked if they could come in here. They knew I didn't have students. And they said I could stay. And so I sat at my table and I watched these 4 precious babies without any adult there forcing them to do it, which happens a lot in religion. With no one here guiding them or leading them or telling them what to do. There was a beautiful symphony of these 4
Oh my
knowing
goodness.
exactly what to do. Things with their hands.
Brainwashing? Is that what they call that?
Things with their bodies, standing, sitting, almost bowing and kneeling and in perfect synchronicity. And
Yes, like good little lemmings.
very,
Right off the cliff. Off they go. Whee!
very seriously. And it was so incredible to watch. I sat at my desk and I just started weeping. They got done.
Wow.
And I was sitting there wiping my tears, and they looked at me and they said, "What?" And I just said, "I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you."
Oh, I guarantee you every single one of those kids cringed so hard inside.
And I came over and we hugged and we had a moment, but man, to have that faith as a 5th grader, where you take it up.
Good Lord Almighty. God help us. All right, Texas Rep Keith Self has a warning.
Here's what's happening right now in the Lone Star State. There are multiple Muslim-only housing developments that already exist or are in the planning stages, including the Meadows, Epic City, right there in my district. It's currently under investigation by the state of Texas. An Islamic imam in Dallas called the police on a fellow Muslim for simply talking to a Christian pastor. An imam in the Houston area was filmed threatening to occupy stores that sold goods that are incompatible with Sharia. Just yesterday, at a taxpayer-funded high school in my district, an Islamic group set up a booth during the school day to pass out Qurans, unauthorized. They did that. These examples multiply daily. The spread has gotten so serious that on March the 3rd, a proposition to ban Sharia will appear on the Texas primary ballot. And I encourage all Texans to go to and vote for that proposition. Because as Texas goes, so goes the nation. And as the nation goes, so goes the world.
Oops. That is not what I wanted to do. Oh, great. All right. Evidence destruction claim rocks Epstein probe. Oh, what?
You've seen who do not have access to the files. How can they be confident that the Attorney General, Bondi, leading this charge, or others who are in charge of providing documents, that they really will do so in the interest of justice?
Well, I think that, for starters, you have a bipartisan oversight committee actually working to not cover up, but actually go into all of this, right? We're interviewing the Clintons tomorrow. But to be clear, I mean, the destruction of
Good one, Luna.
the previous administrations, and that in itself, if you look at the network that was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, to think that there aren't shady things happening in your government, I think would just be a lie to the American people. The fact is that we did have someone come forward. They did say that there was destruction of evidence under the former deputy director of the FBI. And even if you're looking at the original plea deals that Jeffrey Epstein was given, you know, when he was first charged and then also more recently when he then committed suicide in New York, I mean, he should have never gotten off. He should have never had his sentences dropped down to the way that he did. And there are marks of intelligence surrounding this as well, whether it was foreign or, you know, our own. But I don't think that we're ever going to get the full picture. And
That's nice to hear. All French prosecutors probe the Al-Fayeds over sex trafficking. Like Dodi? Diana's boy? Mohammed Al-Fayed? Yeah, that would be him. I mean, he dead, right? Yeah, dead. As far as women say they were raped or molested by late Egyptian-born tycoon Mohammed Al-Fayed. It's the same family, right? Yeah, that's them. Interesting. Organized system. Healy orders hunt for evidence that Epstein used RAF bases for sex trafficking. What? Whoa. Defense Secretary tells officials to leave no stone unturned in search of MOD files. Oh, that could get saucy. Yikes. Mass graves found in Mexico City near site for upcoming World Cup games. Are these like old mass graves or relatively fresh? What are we talking? Cartel violence. Yeah, of course. The Cajun Navy is on the ground in Tucson trying to find Nancy Guthrie. Oh my gosh.
I caught up with
We're still on this crap, huh?
incident commander for the United Cajun Navy here on the ground in Tucson, who soon after the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie offered their expert resources to the Pima County Sheriff's Office. Take a listen.
Here just to provide some support, to be a force multiplier, boots on the ground. Again, we want to work very closely with the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement, but I feel that our resources as well as our experience can be very helpful, especially with something that's gone on for so long.
Josh Gill says the United Cajun Navy was prompted by the despair of the Guthrie family weeks ago, but have yet to hear back personally from the sheriff here on the team's proposed tactical operation plan, and they won't deploy all their resources, of course, unless they get permission from the local law enforcement.
We've got specialized equipment. We've got thermal drones. We've got drone operators. We've got K9 teams as well as subject matter experts and people that are experienced in the field of search and rescue, search and recovery.
We reached out to the Pima County Sheriff's Department about the United Cajun Navy's offer, and they said this, quote, "We are grateful and appreciate their concern and their willingness to help. We ask that they send all the tips to the tip line identified." And of course, Josh says he is exploring leads and passing them on. He also hopes that Savannah Guthrie and family will reach out directly to him about the resources and help they could provide, especially now, Lawrence, that it is almost week 5 in this investigation.
More evidence emerges. Biden and Fulton County DA Willis coordinated to ensnare Trump in prosecutions. Of course they did. Memos from Fannie Willis's office obtained earlier this week by Just the News provide the most extensive evidence to date that Fulton County prosecutor Fannie Willis coordinated extensively with the Biden DOJ and White House, as well as Democrats on the House J6 committee. Unreal. Ah, yes, Billy Boy, Slick Willie.
I'm Marky Martin coming to you live from our News Nation headquarters right here in America's heartland. It's time for News for All Americans, so let's get after it. We start with former President Bill Clinton and his history-making testimony in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein today. His name and face appearing dozens of times in those Epstein files. This is the first time a former president has been forced to testify to a congressional panel. Today's closed-door deposition follows former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton getting grilled for hours by lawmakers on Thursday. Let's get right on out to News Nation national correspondent Alicia Nieves, who's live for us in Chappaqua, New York, just outside the center where that deposition is going to take place again. So, Alicia, good morning to you. First of all, what can we expect when the former president testifies in a few hours?
Yeah, good morning, Marky. We can expect that it's likely going to be another day of just marathon testimony, this time from the former President Bill Clinton. And this, of course, as you mentioned a moment ago, comes after the former Secretary of State and his wife was deposed before this committee yesterday. And she had to answer questions from them for some 6 hours. Today's testimony likely to go a little bit longer. That's because Bill Clinton, the former president, is documented in the Epstein files to have had some contact with Jeffrey Epstein, specifically to have flown on Epstein's private jet. Now, he has stated that that was connected to work with the Clinton Foundation and says that he didn't know about Epstein's crime and certainly cut ties with him about 2 decades ago. Now, Hillary Clinton told lawmakers that she has no new information. In fact, at one point, in several points, said she had no, experience or encounters with Jeffrey Epstein directly, certainly didn't know anything about his crimes, and no knowledge that really would aid their investigation. We know she testified that she never flew on his plane, never visited his home, island, or office. And at one point during the deposition, we actually saw that there was a pause in the deposition because a photo of Clinton was leaked to a conservative influencer, Benny Johnson, who says that he got that photo from Colorado Republican Representative Lauren Boebert. The former First Lady had pushed in the past couple of weeks to make this hearing, instead of closed doors as it was yesterday, as a public hearing. And she even reiterated that when she spoke to reporters after she was deposed.
I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself.
And earlier this month, the committee said that both the Clintons agreed to sit for a transcribed, filmed deposition. House Oversight Chairman James Comer says this is about answers and records, not about accusing the Clintons of any wrongdoing.
They're going to have due process, but we have a lot of questions. And the purpose of the whole investigation is to try to understand many things about Epstein.
And we understand that full, unedited videos of these closed-door proceedings could actually be released to the public next week, as early as Monday. But, given how long we saw the deposition go yesterday and potentially how long today goes, that could be pushed back to later on in the week. But the public's certainly going to get a glimpse of what happens and what is happening behind closed doors here. Marky?
Mm-hmm. Next week, Supreme Court will consider whether the gun ban for drug users is unconstitutionally broad. Marijuana, yeah.
DOS.
Oh, a SpaceX launch? Neat.
Eagle pitching downrange. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Cool. Galaxy launches today? Oh, man.
We are expanding Galaxy AI across our entire ecosystem to reach everyone.
Starting with the Galaxy.
That was great. Oh, this should be interesting. Okay, retired Lieutenant Colonel in U.S. Space Force breaks his silence and accuses Russia of directed energy terrorism on American soil. Oh, shit.
This week on Straight to the Point, part 1 of our special investigation into directed energy attacks on U.S. soil. In his first on-camera interview, a retired Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Space Force says he was hit 5 times by a foreign adversary at his home just outside of Washington, D.C. His wife is collateral damage in the attack. This story is part of a larger and difficult debate. Should service members injured by directed energy weapons receive the Purple Heart? So let's get straight to the point.
My spinal cord felt like it was on fire. So it was like a hot, sharp pain that brought me to the floor, writhing in pain.
In his first on-camera interview, a retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Space Force goes on the record about the crippling directed energy attacks that upended his life and his family. Were you attacked by a directed energy weapon on U.S. soil?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
5 times in my home here in Northern Virginia.
Chris shared his military medical records that document multiple conditions, including a traumatic brain injury connected to his service. While Chris has his suspicions, the U.S. government has stopped short of blaming a foreign adversary for his injuries. Who or what do you believe is behind these directed energy attacks?
I believe it's Russia, and using an advanced directed energy weapon.
What's the objective?
Yeah, I think the objective of what they're doing is to disrupt American officials and prevent them from doing their mission in the military and intelligence agencies. It's almost a form of terrorism.
How important is that acknowledgement from the U.S. government that you were attacked by a foreign adversary?
I think it's very important. I understand it's a tenuous situation because as soon as they make that acknowledgement, they have to have the data to back up that assessment. And then there will probably be calls for action to prevent it from ever happening again. So it's a very serious statement when they make it. But I do believe that the intelligence exists and it will take time to get it. But I do think that they will get it.
At Maryland's Walter Reed Military Hospital, Chris was part of a specialized traumatic brain injury program. The medical notes reinforce the connection between Chris's injuries and directed energy weapons. These are your military medical records. They specifically state that the patient, you, has a past history of a possible directed energy exposure. Do these military medical records make the connection between your injuries and a directed energy attack?
Yes. Yes.
No question in your mind?
No questions. That was their professional opinion of what had happened to me.
What did it mean to you to see a directed energy weapon in black and white as the likely cause?
Surreal. I think that's when I really took a step back and realized that the path we were on for disease or otherwise was not the explanation. It was an external foreign adversary directly targeting me.
Was your wife collateral damage?
She was. Significant damage to her as well. A little bit different in its presentation. It was not an immediate effect like me. Hers started about a month after she was exposed.
Despite acknowledging the potential cause, Chris and other injured government personnel say there was pressure to limit the paper trail about their conditions. At Walter Reed, did any of the doctors tell you that they were instructed not to document traumatic brain injuries?
Yes. My traumatic brain injury coordinator was very thorough in all of his diagnoses, and there was, as I said, over 40. But the one that was lacking was the traumatic brain injury. And I asked him, I said, you guys are the best in the world at traumatic brain injuries. You have clearly diagnosed all of the symptoms that point to a traumatic brain injury. Why haven't you diagnosed that? And he said that they received an email from Defense Health Agency with a new policy that they were prohibited from diagnosing traumatic brain injuries with folks who were AHI victims.
So directed energy victims. How would you compare the Chris before the attacks to the Chris after the attacks?
Yeah, the way I like to summarize it is every day is a struggle. Things as simple as sleeping and anxiety has been a huge symptom, and that's specifically correlated to where I was damaged in the brain, and that just makes every day a challenge getting out of bed. It took about a year for this puzzle to be put together. I'm very thankful to my boss, a Navy captain, who put the pieces together and got me care at Walter Reed and the National Intrepid Center of Excellence, which is the traumatic brain injury clinic.
Over what period of time did the attacks take place?
August of 2020 to December of 2020.
Were the attacks the same each time?
No, they were not. They were each a little bit different.
So the first attack, just tell me where it was and what you experienced.
Yeah, the first attack was interesting because I first noticed it in the shower. It felt like I'd been punched in the throat, like someone had clocked me in the neck. And then my left ear felt very clogged. But what made that unique was I was very anxious. And it was a near instantaneous, anxiety. And at that point, I started to get electric shock-like sensations running up and down my left arm.
Then Chris showed us where he says the other attacks happened at his Virginia home. When's the second attack?
Early September 2020.
What happened?
So I was standing here right in front of this window. It was a Saturday morning. And I just felt a very intense pressure in my head, and I got very confused and disoriented and dizzy. It was just an intense pressure, like someone squeezing your head.
Okay. The third attack
Weird.
is at the end of September 2020. What happened?
Yeah, I was sitting here watching TV, and I had instantaneous muscles, all of them along my spinal column, spasmed and cramped. Again, like that Charlie horse sensation where they just got very tight. And then it felt like my back was on fire.
So you lay right down on the ground here,
right,
sort of clutching yourself.
Yeah, trying to stretch those muscles that were intense. And it was then that I was clenching because of the pain that I cracked 3 of my molars.
You're by the door,
Jeez,
you're by the
man.
window, and then again you're by the window here. Do you believe that this weapon, it was somewhere over here towards the woods?
I do. I believe that they set up in the woods. If you look at that time frame at pictures, you can't see through it. It's super, super dense. So even if you're standing a couple feet back, you won't even see.
But whoever or whatever was launching this attack, it would be easy in and out here, right?
Very easy.
Yeah.
Very easy line of sight and angle of attack to hit me, whether on the first floor or even up into the second floor.
Along with his wife, Heidi, Chris took us upstairs. They say the final attacks were the most severe and injured both of them.
Number 4 and number 5, we were sleeping in bed. I sleep on the right side, Heidi on the left. I was on my back during both attacks, and my left side faces that backwoods area that we talked about earlier, where the directed energy was likely coming from.
Everything you just feel like is coming from this side.
That was in hindsight we put together. It had to have been from that direction. I took the brunt of the energy. My left side was most effective from a symptomology perspective, and then residual energy that I didn't absorb impacted Heidi.
Heidi, right. And what made the last attack stand out?
Yeah, the last one was absolutely terrible. That's when I felt that intense pressure on my brainstem, and it was like something was squeezing. Got up, used the restroom, came back, laid down. As soon as I closed my eyes, I had a full body convulsion.
So Heidi, you're just a few feet over,
Yes.
right here. How long after the final attacks did you feel something was different?
About a month.
About a month.
Yes.
The night when Chris was attacked in his sleep, what happened? Did you know immediately that something was wrong?
There was much more pain with one of the attacks, instantaneous, and then he did wake me. I mean, I woke up when he moved, but he specifically asked, this is going on. Mm-hmm. Can you feel this too? And I could.
Mm-hmm. The mysterious cognitive and neurological symptoms striking diplomatic, intelligence, military personnel, and civilians are commonly known as Havana syndrome or anomalous health incidents, after a cluster of cases were identified in Cuba in 2016. Is it fair to assess that the weapon is small and mobile?
Yes, it would have to be. It doesn't need to be miniaturized, backpack size or even a little bit bigger to get into the woods. Very simple. You can park next to the woods and walk it in.
You took some pictures during these attacks.
I did.
What do the pictures show?
We got some nice family pictures. I think it was in June of 2020, right before the attacks. And if you look at my face, it's kind of normal. And then in February, I took another picture. And at this point, I had realized that something's off. And my face is bright red. When I took a step back with hindsight, I said, that's what you look like when you're irradiated.
Without getting into classified information, has your government work involved Russia or Russian interests?
I think the best way to answer that is to say that Russia has taken a keen interest in the things that I have worked.
The Purple Heart is presented to those who are wounded or killed in action against an enemy of the United States. Chris says military personnel injured by directed energy weapons meet the standard. How many injuries have been connected to these attacks?
Yeah, over 40 injuries have been connected to the attacks and over 1,000 pages of medical records.
What's the range?
Across all of my organ systems, everywhere from my bladder to my brain to lower and upper motor neurons, just significant damage.
What would it mean for you and your family to be acknowledged with a Purple Heart?
I think for me it's closure, and I can put the military part of my life behind me. And it's not just me, it's all of my brothers and sisters in the military who were hurt by a foreign adversary with directed energy. And that's really what I'm advocating for.
Have other service members been denied the Purple Heart for injuries connected to directed energy attacks?
I know of one individual that I went through Walter Reed with who did have the conversation with his leadership, and the end result of that conversation was that they did not want to issue that Purple Heart.
In part 2 of our exclusive investigation, you will hear more from Heidi, how the attack affected her health and what it means for their 4 sons. What can the Trump administration do for families who are impacted by directed energy attacks?
Yeah, I think the first step is acknowledge it. Acknowledge what is happening. And then I think a lot of the care and all of the other pieces will start falling into place.
And I would agree. I think that you can't have anything else come until there's an acknowledgement.
Help people understand this. What does it mean to be attacked in your own home on U.S. soil?
I'd say it's unnerving and it's surreal. We've taken for granted for so long that, when we're on U.S. soil and in America, that we're safe. And I think what this demonstrates is, particularly for those who are in the military or intelligence agencies, that we may not be able to hold the same posture as we have historically, and that our adversaries are now able to infiltrate and affect us at home.
It has really brought to the forefront of my mind that there is probably the bulk of the population that lives in an extreme bubble. I don't believe that people in other nations, especially in some of our nations that we would consider more of our enemies, that they have the perception of safety like we do here in the US, and that is a blessing, but it could also be our detriment because our enemy can be here. They can hit us in our own home. The United States population needs to really think about that and understand that.
How long will it take the U.S. government to acknowledge directed energy weapons when there is so much evidence in plain sight? As part of our reporting, we asked the Department of War to comment on giving the Purple Heart to service members injured by directed energy weapons, setting up a medical protocol and screening process for affected family members, and the current policy for documenting traumatic brain injury for service members hit in these attacks. A spokesperson for the Department of War declined to comment, but we'll keep you updated if their position changes. This is a real opportunity for transparency and to recognize the sacrifice of U.S. government personnel injured by directed energy weapons. This is the kind of investigative, fact-driven reporting you can expect here on Straight to the Point. We'll see you next time.
Creepy stuff, man.
Total ban on the, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
An oldie but a goodie. Rep. Tim Burchett demands term limits after Mitch McConnell looks shocked when he's asked, why are you blocking the SAVE Act? Yeah, he has no idea what's being said.
For McConnell, can you give us some information on why you blocked the SAVE Act, or any information on your thoughts on what Rep. Tim Burchett said about staffers running your office? Any comments, sir? For McConnell, can you give us some information on why you blocked the SAVE Act, or any information on your thoughts on...
Nope. He's got nothing. Oh, this is great. PsyOp Anime's rendition of the State of the Union. Fantastic. I love this so much. Love that. Oh my god. So good. So good. Pete Hegseth here. Trying to get more soldiers.
For more than a century, Boy Scouts of America prepared over 130 million American boys to make moral and ethical choices, not just during their formative years, but for a lifetime as they grew into men. The first few words of the Scout Oath exemplify this. Quote, "On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country." The Boy Scouts are embedded in our communities. They're sponsored by community organizations, service clubs, and churches. Many Boy Scouts have gone on to senior leadership positions in their communities, in business, in our nation's military, and as elected representatives in local, state, and national office. 6 Boy Scouts have been elected President of the United States. 11 of the 12 men to walk on the moon, Boy Scouts. Boy Scout training focused on responsible citizenship, character and leadership development, patriotism, personal fitness, self-reliance, faith, and a wide range of outdoor skills. It was a great program, and this department had a close relationship with the Scouts almost since its inception, as many troops meet on military bases. After 2012, however, the Boy Scouts lost their way.
Yeah, you could
And a
say.
once great organization became gravely wounded. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, crept in. The name was changed to Scouting America. Girls were accepted. The focus on God as the ruler of the universe was watered down to include openness to humanism and earth-centered pagan religions. Scouting became an organization that no longer supported and celebrated boys. They even welcomed the destructive myth of gender fluidity and transgenderism to infiltrate their membership. Along the way, standards were lowered and merit destroyed in favor of an insidious, radical, woke ideology that is anti-America and anti-American. The result, membership cratered. Americans didn't want this. In 1970, 10 million boys participated in Boy Scouts. Currently, less than 1 million boys and girls participate. Further, many of these community organizations that once supported Scout troops, they withdrew their support. And Scouting America, the parent organization, filed for bankruptcy protection. The changes Scouting America made since 2012 have also jeopardized the relationship with this department. And I was very seriously considering ending our support of Scouting altogether. We have a department to protect, after all. Beyond that, the policies Scouting America have in place violate President Trump's Executive Order 14173, entitled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity. But before making this big change, I decided to meet with the current Scouting leadership to convey our deep concerns. Based on that face-to-face conversation and subsequent conversations, Scouting America agreed to make several key reforms. And let me briefly highlight a few of them. First, Scouting America has agreed to comply immediately with the provisions of Executive Order 14173. This includes reviewing and replacing politicized, divisive, and discriminatory language throughout the organization, programs, and all publications. No more DEI 0. Second, the, quote, Citizen in Society merit badge that encouraged Scouts to explore diversity, equity, inclusion, and identity. They always mask it under a name that sounds great, but it's doing something else. And then asks those Scouts to engage in activism on those topics. That badge has been discontinued. Third, Scouting America will modify its policy to make clear that membership will be based solely on biological sex at birth and not gender identity. That means that the application, any application, will have only two sex designations, male and female, and the application must match the applicant's birth certificate. Scouting will also make clear that biological boys and girls will not be allowed to occupy or share intimate spaces together, toilets, showers, tents, anywhere like that. Fourth, Scouting America will honor those who serve by waiving the registration fees for children of active duty, Guard, and Reserve families. Should have happened a long time ago. Fifth, in partnership with the War Department, Scouting America will introduce a new military service merit badge. These and other changes that Scouting America's leadership committed to, in that room right over there, will hopefully result in a rededication to the foundational ideals that have defined Scouting for generations: duty to God and country, leadership, character, and service. However, as President Reagan famously said, trust but verify. This agreement is new, and the department's support for Scouting America is contingent on them making substantial progress toward reaching these and many other positive changes in the next 6 months. At that time, we'll vigorously review progress and decide whether or not to continue our support. The onus is squarely on Scouting America to deliver. If we're unsatisfied with Scouting America's progress toward and commitment to the agreed upon reforms, we will find them in violation of the President's executive order and cease our support. We hope that doesn't happen, but it could. Ideally, I believe the Boy Scouts should go back to being the Boy Scouts, as originally founded, a group that develops boys into men, maybe someday. There are also additional youth and boys organizations, groups like Trail Life USA and Awana clubs, that are already compliant with President Trump's executive order that the department may eventually support as well. But we're watching, and we're watching closely. We look forward to providing you with updates after our 6-month review, and wish the best to Scouting America.
I was in Boy Scouts as a young buck, young kid. Shame what's happened
For more
to
than
him.
a century.
Ilhan Omar's guest arrested at State of the Union after standing during Trump's speech like a moron. Wah.
With Jeffrey, this is the highest profile deposition in congressional history. Never before.
Oh yeah, baby.
Or
15 minutes away.
Has a former president been deposed by a House committee? The former president met.
I did not have sex with that woman.
And even traveled with Jeffrey.
Depends on what the definition of is.
Epstein. Now, the Clintons, they have both demanded public hearings, and Hillary Clinton says that's now off the table. She says she was even asked in the deposition yesterday about UFOs.
I'm not going to do it again.
They had a chance to do it in public, and I wish they had done it in public. They asked literally the same questions over and over again, which didn't seem to me to be very productive.
Tell us about the aliens, Hillary. Do they make you rape the children?
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Bill and Hillary Clinton last summer. They ducked appearing through the fall. The committee voted to hold them in contempt on a bipartisan basis. Democrats believe that hauling in former President Clinton gives them ammo to request an appearance by President Trump, especially if they flip the House in this fall's midterms.
This committee has now set a new precedent about talking to presidents and former presidents. And we're demanding immediately that we ask President Trump to testify in front of our committee and be deposed in front of oversight Republicans and Democrats. And that should happen immediately.
Now, one focus of the committee's questioning is on how Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell used connections to hide their wrongdoing. In her testimony yesterday, Hillary Clinton said she didn't know Epstein, but House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says her testimony tees up questions for the former president today.
Cool.
She admitted that Clinton had Epstein to the White House 17 times, but she said to her knowledge, she never met Epstein. She admitted that Bill Clinton flew on the plane 26 times, but to her knowledge, she was never on the plane. And to her knowledge, she said Clinton didn't go to Epstein Island, even though we read 3 emails from 3 different witnesses that said they saw Bill Clinton on Epstein Island.
Now, Hillary Clinton testified for 6 hours yesterday. Expect another long day today. And it's very possible we could get transcripts and videotapes of both depositions in the next couple of days.
Ursula von der Leyen announced that the EU will provisionally implement the Mercosur deal. No idea. Despite the Parliament's vote to review the agreement. Oh, they're just going to cram it on through, huh? Oh, wow. As U.S. military's partnership with AI giant Anthropic teeters on the edge of collapse, what is going on with that? The Pentagon's top technology official told CBS News the department has offered compromises in order to reach a deal with the company. So what's the deal?
With less than 24 hours left, Anthropic and the Pentagon are locked in a standoff over access to the company's powerful artificial intelligence.
You can't put the rules and the policies of the United States military and the government in the hands of one private company.
Today, Undersecretary of Defense Emil Michael told CBS News the military has now offered Anthropic concessions.
We will put it in writing that we're specifically acknowledging that these laws exist for the privacy of Americans. We're specifically acknowledging these policies that have been in place for years at the Pentagon regarding autonomous weapons.
But if Anthropic doesn't comply, the Pentagon says it will revoke the company's government contracts, labeling them a supply chain risk, or seize use of the technology under the Defense Production Act. Tonight, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei responded, saying these threats do not change our position. We cannot, in good conscience, accede to their request. The conflict stems from the Pentagon wanting unrestricted access to Anthropic's AI for military use, while Anthropic says it wants to maintain restrictions that will not allow the military to enable mass surveillance of Americans or AI-enabled autonomous weapons without human involvement. Jeffrey Laddish used to do work for Anthropic.
I think Dario is in a very difficult position. He really does want to make sure that Anthropic's AI systems are both used to help improve U.S. national defense, but he's also very concerned that those systems could be really misused.
We're here in San Francisco, just a stone's throw away from Anthropic headquarters, where the CEO, Dario Amodei, is not budging. He's saying to us in a news statement tonight that if the military does not intend to use Claude for mass surveillance or autonomous weapons, he says, quote, they should have no problem agreeing to these restrictions. And again, that deadline tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tony?
It's a big story. Jolene, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Interesting. Military wants Claude, huh? Well, it is numero uno right now. It is the big one. Excuse me. CIA Director Brennan rushed to see Obama the moment he received intelligence that on the Hillary Clinton plan to tie Donald Trump to Russia as part of her election strategy. Brennan met with Obama and other White House officials July 28, 2016, 2 days after Hillary approved the plan. Wow. Following day after meeting with Obama, Brennan met with FBI Director Comey. Everything just lines right up, doesn't it?
Committee you sit on has released the Oversight Committee you sit on has released these photos of Bill Clinton with all of these women on Epstein Island. Did anyone show those photos to the former First Lady and ask her if that indeed is her husband?
Yes. So the secretary was shown photos of former President Bill Clinton with photos that were released in the Epstein files, and she did admit that it was her husband, but she could not admit where they were, when they were taken, who they were taken with, and why they were taken, and what he was doing with those women. So it was very difficult to actually get any truth from her. But we did hear from Mrs. Clinton regularly that the committee should ask her husband these questions if we want answers. And so we are going to be asking Bill Clinton questions tomorrow and see if he can recall why he was in hot tubs with these young girls and receiving massages from women, and what exactly he was doing all those times on the Lolita Express and on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Since Hillary Clinton could not recall the conversations that she personally had with her husband once she learned about these images, we are going to take it directly to Bill Clinton himself tomorrow.
Well, alrighty then. Okay. 1 second. All right. Mark Carney is landing in India. He needs more Pajeets. Going for a fresh load. There it is in Mumbai. Very, very good. Thank you, sir. All right, let's see what else we can find. We got 5 minutes left, I guess.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I woke up this morning thinking about some stuff, and some of this stuff kind of makes me angry. You know, I hear people saying, no, they're trafficking. Well, we got to get that straight. They're pimps. And when they say trafficking young kids across state lines for sex with adults, no, they're not. They're selling these kids to get raped. I think we try to sanitize stuff. You know, in Hollywood, you know, shows the pimp and dressed in the fine clothes and the nice car and, you know, talking tough and all that. And,
oh no!
And that's all these people are. They're awful, awful, demonic people, and they deserve to burn in hell. And people say, "Oh, Burchett, you don't want to hang those people." The hell I don't. Bring them out to the farm. We'll take care of them, and I am not kidding you. We've got to start taking this stuff serious in this country, folks. And you know, the way the left and I guess we all are guilty of it. We try to sanitize it so it doesn't affect our psyche or our conscience. But this stuff's going on right now. It's going on in your community. It's going on in my community. We need to pay attention, and we need to start enforcing our dadgum laws and quit electing these gutless wimps and putting these judges in that let these people walk, and quit with all the being able to get out of these things, and they get probation and all this other stuff. All they're going to do is offend again, and the people that are buying these kids to rape are just as guilty or worse than the others. End them all. That's what we've got to do.
End them all.
Nothing redeemable about these people. Anyway, folks, pray for our country. Pray for all those little kids out there that are lost in this horrible system. We lost over 300,000 during the Biden administration. Thank God for President Trump and Homan. They found, I think, 145,000 of them so far. And that's not in the press. Should be. Shame on the media. Anyway, pray for our country. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Okay. All right. Well, I suppose that about does it. We're a few minutes early here, but pose in. You want to take the wheel, man? Up to you.
Yep, I'm good.
Cool.
I'm good.
Yep, I am out of material,
Great
so
show, Pam.
thank you, brother.
I'm never out. That's what it seems like. I'm never out of material.
That's good.
But great show.
Thanks, brother.
You have a great you have a great day, dude.
Yeah, you too, man.
We'll see you.
See ya. All right, you two. That's it. I'm done. I got stuff to go hack. So I'll be back. I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon. All right. Bye-bye.